Secretary, it goes to President Bongbong. So that's the reality there, Mr. President. But I don't intend to delay this or to. I intend to exhaust the discussion, Mr. President. Reality.
Yes, Mr. President, we understand the point raised by the good minority leader, except that, like I said, this has been postponed upon the request of this good senator 3 times already. So that's why I hope he understands when I am appealing to him that hindi natin minamadali ito. Kung minadali natin ito, dapat hindi 3 postponement na pumayag tayo. In good faith, Mr. President.
Mr. President, iba lang definition namin minamadali kasi kung may hearing to, mas tatagal pero malalim ang discussion natin. Having said that, I understand where the senator is coming from dahil siya po ang may kasagutan. No?
Thank you, Mr. President.
Can I go to the point of the whereas clause that talks about the official duties and functions, no? So is it the official duty of Commodore Tariela to come out with a caricature against the Chinese president?
Mr. May we know what whereas clause you're pertaining to? What number in the first page?
The second one, Mr. President, the Philippine officials, including members, Senate, House, and other government, made pronouncements on matters affecting national security, maritime interest in the lawful performance of their official duties and functions. Right. So, Mr. President, I've monitored yung kay SND, sa DND. I agree with some iba may question, kulang ako sa info. So, hindi ko na tinanong yon. And when SND speaks, he's the alter ego of the President. But when Commodore Tariela speaks, I want to know, is that for the task force? Is that for DFA? Is that for the Office of the President? Or is that for the Coast Guard? Because, Mr. President, official duties and functions, yun precisely ang tanong parate sa Department of Ministries of Foreign Affairs, kung official o hindi. And usually we answer. So eto bang mga caricatures na to ay kay Commodore Tariela lang? Or eto ba ay official policy natin?
Yes, Mr. President, my understanding is the statement issued and the caricature that was presented was undertaken during a Track 2 event in St. Benilde's. Track 2 would be a informal academic discussion, Mr. President. So, in that sense, Mr. President, we see no reason why that should have been avoided, Mr. President.
Mr.
It's an
President.
informal academic discussion, Mr. President.
Sir President, when you're a general, Commodore, wearing your uniform, hindi po track 2 or 1.5 yon. Tatanungin ka talaga ng embassy. So kung meron general sa China na pumunta sa Harvard University or sa University of Tokyo or kahit anong university sa China at may caricature ni President Bongbong, hindi pwedeng ang sagot track 2 yon. Ang tanong, was that official or not? Diba? So sumagot na si Commodore Tariela, I will follow the President. The President has exercised patience and decorum despite standing up for the territory of our country. It's very important that we make it clear here. So if my staff, who is a member of the Senate, goes to a track 2, tapos may caricature siya ng kahit sino sa mga senador dito, papagalitan ko siya at sasabihin ko, subject ka ng Ethics Committee. Lalo kung naka-uniform siya at nakalagay Senate of the Philippines or Office of Senator Alan. I cannot answer you na this is democracy, Mr. President. Kasi may rules tayo eh. And they're representing the Senate. Now, if on their off time, they attend the rally for pro or anti-divorce, for example, no? Siguro pwede nating sabihin yan ay hindi official ng Senate, pwede. Pero pag nagsalita siya sa stand, tapos meron siyang caricature nung lahat ng senador na anti o pro-divorce, tapos naka-office of Alan Peter Cayetano, subject siya sa Ethics Committee natin, Mr. President. Hindi mo pwedeng sabihin track 2 yun. No? So, we
Well,
can...
apart from that, Mr. President, if I may add, after that statement was released, Malacanang issued a statement, and Malacanang did not reject, did not castigate, did not rebuke Commodore Tariela. So I will take it as that, Mr. President, na nagsalita ng Malacanang about the issue, and there was no condemnation or rebuke by Malacanang of the statement of Commodore Tariela. So I will take it as that, Mr. President. It is not, it is official, and Malacanang tacitly, impliedly, did not reject it, Mr. President. So we take it as official.
Sir President,
And if the good senator disagrees with it, as China disagrees with it, then that's he's free to do so, Mr. President. But Malacanang has spoken, and the Commodore Tariela, Malacanang has the president has supervision and control over members of the Coast Guard, including Commodore Tariela. If he found it objectionable, then maybe the course of action is for Malacanang, the Office of the President, to file the necessary administrative cases. Wala naman eh. Ang nagrereklamo yung China.
Sir President,
Walang reklamo ang Office of the President o ang Coast Guard, Mr. President. Ang China ang nagrereklamo.
Sir President, may I respond?
Good.
Yeah. Mr. President, the Filipino people ayaw ng bastos. Pwede tayo mag-disagree, pero follow the proper order and decorum. And being a former Secretary of Foreign Affairs, ang trabaho ng DFA, hindi nga zero-sum game. Magkakampi tayo, walang question pagdating sa territory sovereignty. Nagkakaiba tayo ng approach, pero sana magkaisa tayo na pag mali ang ginawa ng isang empleyado, ay mali. Kasi nga maraming nanonood sa atin ngayon. So kung bukas maraming lalabas na meme, democracy yon. Pero kung staff mismo natin ang magmi-meme sa atin at dito sa session hall, tapos sasabihin natin, pwedeng gawin ng general, pwedeng gawin ng staff, mabigat po yon. Look at the official statement of DFA. At the same time, while the Philippine values debate on our difference in national position, the department recognizes the need for sober, professional, and respectful exchanges in the public sphere. Such is not contradictory to national interest. Siyempre po, Mr. President, hindi pwedeng pangunahan ng DFA ang presidente. Alter ego lang yun, dinatanggal yun.
Exactly.
Pero hindi exactly, Mr. President. Nanginginig ngayon, nagkri-cringe ang mga taga-DFA kung sasabihin natin track 2 yan o track 1.5 at nagkri-cringe sila pag sinabing ang general ay pwedeng mag-caricature ng leader or flag ng ibang bansa. Because we are part of the United Nations. We are part of the civilized society. Hindi tayo fraternity na rumble na kahit anong gawin ng ating kasama pag mali, mali. Sa resolution na to nakalagay dyan, performance of their official duties. Bakit napakahirap nating sagutin kung official to o hindi? At
Mr.
kung mali,
President, if I
Mr.
may.
President, may I finish? I
Kasi-
allow the gentleman
kasi
to finish.
sasagutin ko na yung point niya.
You can answer after me. That is the
Okay.
decorum here. Do you want to see a meme? Oh, di ba? So, yun nga ang wala tayong bastusan. We follow the decorum, we follow the proper order. But ang sagot parate, China ang umaangal dyan. Wala po tayong angal sa ginagawa ni Commodore Tariela pagdating sa ating national territory. Wala tayong angal po sa ginagawa niyang information campaign. Wala po tayong angal sa pag-build ng Coast Guard, sa pag-aangal sa mga nangyayari tungkol sa skirmishes with the Chinese Coast Guard, no? Mr. President, sa Philippine News Agency, January 29, when asked about the President's stance on the West Philippine Sea issue, Yusek Claire Castro said, BBM wants the government to remain firm but in a diplomatic manner. Hindi po diplomatic. Mr. President, Senator Soto knows this. I've been at his side many, many times, but I've been in his face on the opposite side. When I was minority leader, siya majority leader. This is the first time I had the pleasure na siya ang Senate President ko because I was not in the Senate noon. But never ako binastos ng staff niyo, Senator. Even dito sa mga rumors, etc., pag lumapit ako sa opisina niyo, very diplomatic ang inyong opisina. And I hope my staff din. Sinabi ko rin sa staff ko yun, kahit anong away namin ng mga senador, Hindi kayo pwedeng makialam. Nung nagsuguran kami ni Majority Leader, Sergeant at Arms at kapwa senador lang dito, walang sumugod na staff ni Senator Mix, walang sumugod na staff ko. Because may tamang order, Mr. President. So ang problema, maraming nanonood sa atin, hindi natin, bakit ba napakahirap sabihin na, Commodore Tariela, 99.9% ng ginagawa mo, tama. Pero medyo sumobre. Medyo naging over-eager ka. Hindi lang si President Xi yun simbolo ng China yun. Di ba? So yes, we're mad about their propaganda, we're mad about their threats, we're mad about what's happening, etc. But you don't want it to be an all-out debate about everything under the sun. You want talks on tourism. You want talks on OFWs. There's also hundreds of thousands of Filipinos in Hong Kong, in Macau, and kahit undocumented, marami din sa Shanghai, meron din sa Beijing. Di ba? So, we want that level of civility. Yun lang naman ang tinatanong. Can the Senate not condemn those who are to be condemned because mali kung paano kausapin, ituring, ipaglaban ang stand sa mga senador natin? Pero yung isa nating empleyado o kapwa-empleyado na Commodore sa Coast Guard, hindi ba natin pwedeng sabihin, Sir, we respect you, pero wag kang pupunta sa university na ka-uniforme, tapos ganyan ang presentation mo. Un-Filipino yun. Medyo masama ang dating.
Mr.
Yun
President,
lang naman issue doon,
yes,
Mr. President.
Just to place it on record, para klaro din sa mga nakikinig, walang banggit ni Commodore Tariela sa resolution. Wala. So, hindi ito tungkol kay Tariela. Kasi kung kay Tariela lang po tayo, medyo nalilihis dun sa mas malawig na usapin ng resolusyon. So walang pangalan ni Tariela, Commodore Tariela rito. Number one. Having said that, tinanong ang Malacanang at tungkol nga sa mga bitiw na salita ng mga opisyal. And I quote, when pressed whether the President stands by the statement of Philippine officials on the West Philippine issue, Castro said yes. So whatever our agencies are doing to fight for the interests of our country, that's what the President wants. And that's also what he has ordered. So if the President found Commodore Tariela's statement as unpalatable or unacceptable, then he should have said so. He did not. So having said that, again, I will reiterate, if he was wrong, then Malacanang should have castigated him and reprimanded him. Malacanang, in fact, supported the statements of the officials, official statements. So I think we should support Malacanang's position, and we should support this resolution, Mr. President.
Sir President, to reply to that, number one, Malacanang said na yung statements at stand ng bawat opisyal, lahat tayong question doon. Nagkakaisa tayo lahat. Lahat tayo nagsasabing atin to. Whether we mean atin to in terms of territory or whether we mean sovereign rights. Kung ang sinasabi ng gentleman from Pampanga, wala ang pangalan ni Commodore Tariela dito, so wag natin pag-usapan, ang problema po, mali ang argument niya kasi walang pangalan ni isa dito sa resolution na to. Di wala tayong pinag-uusapan kahit anong opisyal ng Pilipinas dito. You know, sabi niya,
Members of the House,
Mr. President,
members
I'm
of
not
the
yet
Senate.
finished. Please don't interrupt. Konting decorum lang tayo po. Di ba? Kasi maraming gagaya sa atin po dito. Ang nakalagay po dito, members of the Senate and the House and other government officials. Wala pong pangalan ang senador, wala pong pangalan ang congressman, pero meron other government officials. Hindi ba ho other si Commodore Tariela? That's why I was asking, when we talk about official duties and functions, linawin natin. So kung attending forums is part of his duty, I will support that. If his presentation is the Treaty of Paris, the amendments with the United States, the UNCLOS 1, 2, and 3, kung papakita niya yung arbitral award, kung papakita niya kung paano kinakawawa ang ating mga Coast Guard, then let's do it. If we have to inform our people more and be on TV programs, etc. Ang question, a picture paints 1,000 words. So, para mong sinabing, wala ka namang tinawag na magnanakaw. Pero yung caricature mo, nagnanakaw siya. Sinabi mo, wala kang tinawag na corrupt. Pero yung picture na nilagay mo doon, corrupt. So, reciprocity is basic sa DFA, sa Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Whatever we say here, the United States is watching, France is watching, Israel is watching, Palestine is watching. So I don't want these countries to do a caricature of President BBM and then sabihin nila, sabi naman nyo sa Senado, okay to eh. Di ba? That's why I'm clarifying. Official ba to? Hindi ba napakahirap sabihin ng hindi official yan? Kasi ang kasunod lang simple nun, wag siya mag-uniforme at wag siyang magpapakilala during that event na spokesman siya. Di ba? Ngayon, Mr. President, will his presentation be diluted in any manner if he didn't show that caricature? Hindi naman eh. Hindi naman. So, the gentleman keeps asking me about the other members of the House of Senate. Kung wala akong nakikita problema doon or hindi ko pa napag-aaralan yun, that's beside the point. Ang pinag-uusapan natin, what is all over the news na minomonitor ng lahat ng ASEAN countries. Minomonitor ng trade attaches nila. Minomonitor ng labor attaches ng iba't ibang bansa para makita ang Pilipinas ba, ano ba values nito? Marunong ba to sa diplomatic, hindi lang niceties rules to and everything, Mr. President. That's why, kaya humaba yung discussion, simple lang ang tanong ko Official duty ba ng isang general maglabas ng caricature ng Pangulo ng ibang bansa? Kasi obvious ang sagot doon, hindi. Hindi sagot doon kung ano sabihin ng Malacanang. Maraming sinabi si Duterte na sinabi ng Congress before, mali yun. Di ba? Hindi naman natin sinagot dito sa Senate na basta't sinabi ni Duterte, tama. Basta't sinabi ni Arroyo, tama. Basta't sabihin ni Pinoy, tama. Hindi. Kaya nga may Senado May check and may balance. So pag yung isa sumobra, pag sumobra Supreme Court, may check. Pag sumobra Congress, may check. Pag sumobra ang executive, may check. Second, you have to look at the character, demeanor of not the office of the President, but the President himself. The President himself, hindi niya style to call out employees in public. Hindi niya style yun na ikaw tama, ikaw mali, mali. Di ba? But everyone knows na mali na tirahin mo yung Pangulo ng isang bansa with caricatures na naka-uniforme, general ka pa. So, can you imagine, Mr. President? I'll give you an example. Si President Trump at yung North Korean president. Kasagutan sila. They went to name calling. So tinawag ni President Trump na rocket man. Sumagot din si Kim Jong-un, no? Walang problema yun, Mr. President, kasi official yon. Kasi pag ginawa ng Pangulo in international affairs, susunod na yon. So kung may mga opisyal ng gobyerno na sinunod si Trump at tinawag siyang rocket man, which I think the White House spokesperson, I'm not sure the Secretary of State if they followed, but then nung nagkaroon ng meeting sa Singapore at nagkamayan sila at umibay yung asta ni President Trump, he was still firm, he still drew the red line, but hindi na niya inaalaska ang Pangulo ng North Korea. You expect na everyone beneath him toes the line. Sa atin, nakita nyo naman po, kumakamay, lumapit ang Pangulo. Was that APEC or ASEAN, di ba? Just so that ma-communicate, may dispute tayo pero neighbors tayo. Di ba? Para ma-dispute, walang personalan to. For whatever purpose, I admired President Marcos for going near the Chinese president. And then may general ka, ganito nangyayari, tapos hindi kayang sabihin ng Senado, mali. So the gentleman from Pampanga expects the Senate to say na mali ang Chinese ambassador sa pakikisagutan kay Senator Risa sa kanya, pero wala tayong wherewithal, wala tayong pakialam, sabihin sa isang general, boss, mali ka naman kasi. Oh. So, hindi pwedeng pag senador, meron tayong immunity, mas mataas tayo sa iba, pag tayo tinira, rest back kagad ng Senate. Pero kapag ka-general, tama naman yung 99% niyang ginawa, kaya yung 1%, sabihin na lang natin, official din yon. Simple lang po tanong ko Is it in the performance of his official duty? Ang bigat po niyan kung sasabihin natin yes. It will ripple not only through our military, but it will ripple in time. It's being watched by students who will be our future diplomats, Mr. President. So I cannot stand here and accept na yung mali pwedeng maging tama. Again, Mr. President, if it is rhetoric, president to president, we're uncomfortable with it, but it's part of the negotiating. So President Trump does that a lot. But once na tumigil siya, once na kamayan na, tigil na rin lahat nung nasa ilalim niya. Hindi naman pwede ang sasabihin natin dito, ang mali ang presidente. Kasi siya, hindi niya binabastos ang Chinese president. So ang general ang tama, ang mali presidente. You cannot reconcile that. No, it defies logic, Mr. President. What the president does, the executive follows. Tayo sa legislative, pwede tayong mag-comment. Pwede tayong mag-resolution katulad para kung ano ang tama at mali. That's why, Mr. President, I want to know, sino-sinong official ba to? Sa Senate, sa House, sa interest nila. Kasi yung DND, medyo klaro yun. Nakita ko yung mga statements, etc. And yung DND, mismong si SND ang nagsasalita. So in behalf of the President yon. So kung gustong i-correct ng Presidente yon, i-correct niya. Hindi naman spokesman ng Presidente ang nakikipagdebate doon Hindi naman spokesman ng DND. At sagutin man nila, sinabi na ni DND, yun din ang stand niya eto po, hindi. At yung DND po, despite my agreement or disagreement with the Secretary of National Defense, I haven't seen anyone in the DND come out with caricatures of generals of the opposing side or of the president of the other side. Our generals are officers and gentlemen. Is it too much to ask that yung pagiging officer and gentleman sa AFP, PNP, BJMP ay ganun din sa Coast Guard natin? Is it too much to ask a gentleman from Pampanga? Masyado bang malaking ask yon na, boss, paglaban mo Pilipinas pero wag tayong bastusan?
Well, because the gentleman from Taguig finds it unacceptable, Mr. President, and therefore that is his position. We do not find that unacceptable, Mr. President, under the circumstances, particularly because China, for the longest time, has been aggressively, illegally encroaching on what is ours. So if these statements are taken in isolation, perhaps I might be able to understand where the good gentleman is coming from, but it's not taken in isolation. It's not just Commodore Tariela's statement. It is, and the remarks of the Chinese embassy towards and reaction to his statement. It's also what the Chinese embassy has attacked the senators, congressmen, Mr. President. And if I may add again, this is not just an issue of Commodore Tariela. Let's not minimize the issue. We beg to disagree, and with all due respect, putting the issue simply as Commodore Tariela and his actions is minimizing the issue. And somehow, who benefits from minimizing this issue? China, Mr. President. The good senator may not be his intention, but Mr. President, from this point, from this perspective, from this representation's perspective, minimizing the issue, disregarding or taking it in isolation, and isolating Tariela's actions from the insults and the unparliamentary language of the embassy, threatening our men in uniform, Mr. President. parang biglang hindi na pinag-uusapan lahat ng mga pangiinsulto, pananakot ng China dahil andito tayo naipit sa pagdepensa ni Commodore Tariela at kanyang mga kilos. I hope the good senator gets a broader or looks at it in a broader perspective, Mr. President.
Mr. President, sino ho nagmi-minimize? Siya po ang nagmamadali. Ayaw niya mag-hearing. Kung magkakaroon ho ng hearing, lahat ho ng issues, yung sinabi ng DND, yung ginagawa po sa Ayungin or sa BP Sierra Madre, yung pong ginawa po sa Scarborough Shoal, Aquino administration, Duterte administration, Marcos administration, yung pong hinanakit ng ating mga Coast Guard sa nangyayari sa kanilang araw-araw, sa mga nasa Pag-asa Island po, sa kakulangan po ng pondo. Lahat po yun madidiscuss natin. Paulit-ulit po ang gentleman from Pampanga na parang ako may kasalanan na pinag-uusapan po si Senator Tariela, tinamad po sila na ilagay ang mga pangalan ng mga opisyal na sinasabi nila sa resolusyon. Kaya malinaw naman ang tanong ko, sino-sino tong mga opisyal? Ang alam ko lang si Commodore Tariela. Tapos sasabihan niya ako, I'm minimizing. Tapos babasahan niya ako ng paano mga taga-DND, paano para bang hindi ko sila kinakampihan. Bulok na yung style na yan eh. Yan yung style na pro-China, anti-China, pro-Philippines, anti-Philippines, no? Paulit-ulit na tayo dito, magkakampi tayo pagdating sa territory ng ating bansa. Magkakampi tayo pagdating sa sovereign rights ng ating bansa. May I ask this question? When the military decided to pave the way, to build a runway sa Pag-asa Island, was there any objection by any department in our country at that time?
Well, Mr. President, with all due respect, Mr. President, I think we have exhausted
Mr. President,
this
do we
debate.
have closure here?
No, Mr. President, but I
Mr.
no
President,
longer would like to
No, on one hand, Mr. President,
respond
sabi niya,
to further
miniminize ko.
questions, Mr.
Nung
President.
nagtatanong naman ako ng ibang opisyal, ayaw naman sagutin. Sino nagmi-minimize?
Mr. President, I have the floor.
The
I have the
question-
floor. Mr. President, point of order. I have the floor, and I would like to manifest that we believe this has been exhausted. For 2 weeks, Mr. President, we have debated this, and I think we have ventilated the issue enough, and it is time for a vote, Mr. President. I will no longer yield to questions, Mr. President.
Mr. President,
Majority Leader.
Mr. President, before that, can I just reiterate my question?
Go ahead.
Kung hindi niya sasagutin, imamanifest ko lang yung sagot sa sarili kong tanong. Ang tanong ko po sa kanya, nung sinabi ng military, ganyan na nangyayari sa West Philippine Sea, lagyan na natin ng runway, ayusin na natin ang Pag-asa. Meron ba pong mga opisyalis ng kahit anong departamento sa ating bansa na registered a negative vote and advised the military not to do it? If the good senator doesn't want to answer that, I will answer it. Mga taga-DFA. Ang sabi ng mga taga-DFA, during the time, this was the time of President Aquino, it will weaken our case. Because precisely, the rocks, the features that are being reclaimed, etc., malakas ang kaso natin. Nasunod po yung military at tingin ko tama naman. But none of us told yung mga taga-DFA na pro-China kayo for having a different opinion. Di ba? None of us. Why? Kasi iba trabaho ng DFA sa DND. Iba trabaho ng DND sa Coast Guard. So, Mr. President, dapat burahin na natin yung nagdi-discuss tayo ng maayos. Napikon ka sa statement ng iba, re-rest back ang senador. Buti nga, sinasagot kayo eh. Mas malaking insulto kung hindi kayo sinagot eh. Sinagot kayo, di magsagutan kayo, pero gusto nyo, buong Senado ang re-rest back nyo. Ako, kung may kadebate akong embassy, kami lang yun. Kung kailangan ko tulong ni Brother Robin or ni Senator Marcoleta, kakalabitin ko, tulungan. Pero hindi ako magfa-file ng resolution sa Senado para sa tulungan nyo kami, bugbog kami sa China. Tapos pagka hindi ka pumirma, pro-China ka. China lang ang lumalaki dito. Okay. We'll go to the corollary question there. I was going to ask the gentleman, ano ang ilan responsibilities natin under UNCLOS. Will the gentleman answer that or will I answer myself? So since the gentleman will not answer that, I will answer it myself, Mr. President. So under our maritime entitlements, meron din responsibilities doon. For example, Mr. President, managing our maritime resources. So walang problema yung non-life, for example, natural gas, di ba? Siyempre yung ecological balance lang dyan. Pero let's say fish, let's say yung mga coral reef, trabaho ng Coast Guard siguraduhin na walang nagda-damage niyan. So kung ang Coast Guard natin at Coast Guard ng China ay nag-aaway parate, mahirapan silang dalawa na i-enforce ang mga restriction na nakakasira ng ating environment. That's why, in the past administration, everyone was allowed to speak except the Coast Guard because of the next responsibility, the prevention of life and there's a official term doon, but since walang taga-ano dito, prevention of loss of life and so may official term yan, Mr. President. Ang punto nun, kapag ka may barko halimbawa na lumulubog o nabangga o tinamaan ng bagyo, you cannot say no. You have to help. Diba? Magtutulungan kayo. So kung ang Coast Guard ng China at Coast Guard ng Pilipinas ay hindi magkasundo, kawawa yung ating fishermen. That's why unanimous yung ating resolution about water cannon. Our diplomats have been telling China the same thing. Mag-away yung iba pero wag yung Coast Guard natin. Kasi kung may fisherman ka rin na Chinese at may kailangan yan, tutulungan din ng Pinoy yun. Wala nang nationality pagkabuhay na. Di ba? So, two sides eh. On one side, we are advocating umayos naman yung Chinese Coast Guard. Pero kung papayagan natin, yung spokesman ng Coast Guard naman natin ang mambastos, hindi mangyayari to. So anyway, Mr. President, marami pa akong gusto sabihin, but siguro dahil may LEDAC tayo tomorrow, maraming importante. Ang question ko lang, Mr. President, paano yung amendments? Hindi ba natin ilalagay kung anong mga statement na to? Kasi paano natin pagbobotohan kung hindi natin alam kung ano yung mga statement na to at sino tong mga opisyal. This resolution is so general.
Mr.
It can
President,
mean anything. Mr. President, I'm not yet finished. You said you don't want to speak anymore, then don't speak. It's your privilege. But if you don't like what I'm saying, Mr. President, no,
Will you please
tapos na ako eh.
Point of
Tapos na
order,
ako.
Mr.
Please
President.
address the chair. Do not address
I'm sorry for that, Mr.
President.
President.
Yes, Mr.
I'm sorry for that, Mr. President.
We move to strike off the record the...
I withdraw that statement, Mr.
Thank you,
President.
Mr. President.
I apologize for that.
All right, the statement is
Yes.
withdrawn. Perhaps what we can do is that let us then terminate the period of interpellation and open the period of amendment so that we can incorporate the amendments proposed if the sponsor will
moved.
accept or not.
I agree with you, Mr. President.
Jordi.
No objection.
So move, Mr.
Yeah.
President. No objections.
Majority Leader.
Yes, but before we do that, Mr. President, there was a internal agreement between Senator Marcoleta and Senator Kiko Pangilinan to allow him to just give a brief manifestation before we act on the resolution.
Yes, but you can already close the period of interpellation and manifestation before the amendment so that
I'm
we
so
can
moved, Mr.
facilitate.
President, the period of interpellations be closed.
All right, any objection? Hearing none, period of interpellation is closed.
We recognize very quickly for manifestation Senator Rodante Marcoleta.
Senator Dante Marcoleta is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. Gusto ko lang pong magpaliwanag sa mga ilang bagay dahil sa humaba po yung interpellation noon dahil sa isang napakaliit na issue lang na pinalaki po ng mga pangyayari. nung panahon na ako po ay nag-interpellate, nagkaroon po ng misconception about the West Philippine Sea at saka yung ating exclusive economic zone. Kumbaga po sa pagluluto natin, Mr. Chair, ang nangyari po, nagluluto po tayo ng simpleng ulam lang, naging chop suey po. At nung maging chop suey po, lalo pa pong lumaki sapagkat meron pa pong napakaraming mga tao ang sumausaw at naglagay po ng seasoning. Isa po sa taong sumausaw sa issue, Mr. President, ay yung dating Justice ng Korte Suprema, si Justice Carpio, at saka yung isang profesor yata ng Universidad ng Pilipinas, nagngangalang J. Batong Bakal. Napakasimple po ng gusto ko lamang pong matukoy noon, Mr. President, na dahil nga po sa mga batas na ginawa natin, nung dinidefine natin ang West Philippine Sea, isinama po natin yung Kalayaan Island Group. Sinasabi ko lamang po na kaya tayo nagkaroon ng matinding hindi pagkakaunawaan, marami po kasing sektor na nagsabi na ba't nyo pa pag-uusapan yung West Philippine Sea? Nanalo na tayo sa arbitral tribunal at na-define na nga ang ating exclusive economic zone. So ang nangyari po, akala nila yung exclusive economic zone, siya na rin yung West Philippine Sea, hindi po. Napakadali pong i-define ang ating exclusive economic zone kung paano nating madidefine din ang ating territorial sea at ang ating contiguous zone, even our continental shelf at ang ating territorial sea, sapagkat magsisimula nga po doon sa archipelagic baselines. Ang nagiging problema po, pinipilit nila na yung West Philippine Sea kagaya na rin ng EEZ. Hindi po. Nung isama po yung Kalayaan Island Group, nakalimutan po nila na yung ibang features na sinasakop po ng ating bansa, halimbawa po yung Pag-asa, yung Parola, yung Kota, yung Lankiam, ito po ay 200 nautical miles away from the baseline, ay from the EEZ. Kaya nasa labas po sila. Alam po nyo, Mr. President, nung nagkaroon po tayo ng hearing sa CA, tinangka ko pong itanong sa ating ilang mga miyembro ng armed forces na nandoon, 35 po sila, Mr. President. Nalungkot po ako nung malaman ko sa sagot nila, hindi pala nila alam na yung ating mga occupied territories sa KIG ay nasa labas po ng ating exclusive economic zone. Ito po yung mga official po ng ating armed forces, Mr. President. Nakalulungkot po sapagkat ano po ang ipagtatanggol nila kung hindi naman po nila alam pala kung nasaan po yung mga isla na ating pong sinasakupan. Napakahalaga po noon, Mr. President, bagamat ang usapan doon ay teritoryo, dahil sa definition po ng ating West Philippine Sea, ang importante po doon ay yung karagatang sinasakupan natin. Kung isasama po natin ang West Philippine Sea, Mr. President, ang gusto ng Pilipinas kasi, ituring po yung mga features sa Spratlys na isang grupo lamang ng mga isla. Yung tinatawag po nilang offshore archipelago. Ang sabi po ng arbitral tribunal, Mr. President, hindi po ninyo magagawa yan, sabi niya, sa Pilipinas. Tama na kayo po ay isang archipelagic nation, ngunit hindi nyo magagawa yan sapagkat you will not be able to meet the requirements of land and water ratio. Kung di po ako nagkakali, Mr. President, ang ratio po is 1 to about 9.135, something like that. Ibig sabihin po, meron pong standard na pagitan po kasi ng baselines kung saan mo ikakapit yung baseline. Kasi magkakalayo po sila eh. Lalong-lalo na po doon sa mga ibang features, Mr. President, na hindi okupado ng Pilipinas. Ang dami po nun. Ang okupado lamang po ay 4. Napakarami po ng hindi natin occupied. Ngunit, mini-maintain po natin ang ating claim doon. Ano po ang pinaka-imposible doon, Mr. President? Hindi po natin pwede silang isali yung karagatan arising from this maritime features in the Kalayaan Island Group dahil lalabag po tayo sa dalawang aspeto. Number one, yung UNCLOS po, hindi tayo papayagan. Kasi po, yung Article 7 po ng UNCLOS, Mr. President, ito po yung tinatawag na straight baselines. Mababiolate po yun kapag kinonect po natin yung features outside our EEC ng mga straight lines dahil yung straight baselines po natin magde-depart po sa appreciable part ng ating yung general direction ng ating cost. Yun po yung sinasabi ng Article 7. Dahil po kasi sa layo nila, more than 200 nautical miles from our EEC. Pagkatapos po, yung Article 47, Mr. President, ito po yung archipelagic baselines. Mababiolate po, ito po yung sinasabi nating ratio of water to land. Dahil nga po, hindi pinapayagang dapat magkakalayo yung features at may encircle mo sila to treat them as one group of islands. Hindi sila pwedeng i-classify na isang unit lamang para lang mag-generate ng sarili nilang maritime space. Ngayon, ito po yung nangyari. Dahil imposible po, dahil nga sa Article 89 naman po, ng UNCLOS din, Mr. President, hindi po natin pwedeng i-appropriate ang high seas. Nakalagay po talaga. Yung mga features po na malalayo sa ating exclusive economic zone, Mr. President, ang layo na po nasa high seas na. Sa layo nila sa bawat isa, they are also separated by high seas. Kapag kinonect po natin mula dun sa ating exclusive economic zone, ma-appropriate po natin ang high seas, mababiolate po natin ang 3 artikulo ng UNCLOS. Pati po yung tribunal ay inconsistent na rin po yung tayo natin. Sinabi rin po niya sa China yun eh. Maski na ikaw, China, sabi niya, you cannot regard this Pratt list as one group of islands or to regard it as one unit dahil hindi ka naman archipelagic country. China, sabi niya, ikaw ay isang continental state. So kapwa po tayo pinagbawalan. Ano po ang aking gustong palabasin dito, Mr. President? Hindi po natin pwedeng saklawin yung KIG. Pero liliwanagin ko po, yung KIG, atin po yun eh. Ang pinag-uusapan natin, land features, teritoryo po yun, Mr. President. Ibang bagay yun. Hindi ko po sinasabang hindi atin yun. Ngunit dahil ang pinag-uusapan natin, West Philippine Sea, yung katubigan natin, imposible pong i-connect natin yung ating exclusive economic zone at ituloy po natin doon sa territorial sea na generate po ng napakaraming features. Magkakamali po tayo. Yun ang pinagbabawalan tayo. Ngayon, bakit po nung nag-hearing tayo sa CA, paano ko po nasabi na imposible yun kako doon sa representative po ng Armed Forces, mahihirapan po kayo, imposible, dahil malalabag po natin ang napakaraming artikulo ng UNCLOS. Hindi po natin mai-enclose, hindi po natin makokonek yung territorial seas nung napakaraming features na yon na ating ino-occupy, magkakamali po tayo at baka sakali, kung gusto nyong gawin, we cannot do that unless, sabi ko, we give up our itong KIG. Hindi ko po sinasabi na i-give up natin. I am only trying to reinforce the argument na hindi at imposible nating gawin. Sapagkat atin yung teritoryo, pero sa tubig, hindi po natin pwedeng itagos yung mga baselines dahil magkakasala tayo at lalabag po tayo sa UNCLOS mismo. Ang dami po ngayong mga gumagawa ng kung ano-anong salita. Sumama na nga po yung napakaraming tao na sinasabi ko ro, i-give up natin ang KIG. Mr. President, kahit kailan hindi ko sinabi yun. Teritoryo po yun, land features po yun, hindi sakop po ng arbitral tribunal. Ang sinasakop lang po ng tribunal, yung tubig po. Kaya lang magkaintindihan tayo. Hindi ko sinasabing hindi atin yon. Teritoryo na natin yon dahil occupied na po natin yon. Ngunit ang pinag-uusapan lang po, yung tubig nila, hindi natin pwedeng i-connect doon sa ating exclusive economic zone. Kasalanan po yun. Mali po yun. Kaya yung nagsasabi po na, ayun po, dahil ina-advocate ko raw po na i-give up natin. Saan naman po kayo nakakita ng ganun, Mr. President? Ang dami pang AIs ngayon. Nabanggit na rin po kanina. Senador po kami daw. Kami po ay mga traidor. Paano po bang magiging traidor ang isang tao? Nililinaw lang po ang basihan na sinasabi natin kung gusto nating magkaroon ng West Philippine Sea o di makiusap tayo. Siguro pag-usapan natin sa pamamagitan ng United Nations na pwede po ba namin gamitin yung ilang mapa na idodrawing namin at kung inaakala po ninyong mahaba po yung pagitan, nakakita po kami ng maliliit na isla na pwede namin pagpatungan at yung pong land-to-water ratio, maaari po namin magawa ng paraan. Ganun po siguro, pero hindi yung automatic po, tatagos tayo sa mga ganong klaseng batuhan, ipipilit po natin. Hanggang sa ngayon po, Mr. President, kaya hindi ma-define ng West Philippine Sea. At sabi ko nga po, hanggang ngayon ay walang ginagawang mapa, kahit nasabihin pa nilang merong mapa, hindi po totoo yun. Mr. President, kahit ngayon pwede po ninyong konsultahin yung tinatawag nilang DUALOS, Mr. President. Ito po yung Division for Ocean Affairs and the Law of the Sea na nasa opisina ng United Nations. Wala pong nasasubmit ang NAMRIA. 14 years ago, inorderan na po silang mag-submit. Bakit hindi po sila makapag-submit? Dahil sa hirap nga po nito. Hindi po pwedeng i-connect, Mr. President. Yun lamang po. Kaya, wag po nilang ipipilit na ako po ay traidor o kaya pro-China. Hindi po. Mr. President, naghahanap lang po tayo ng katarungan at katwiran dito. Kailangan maabisuhan po natin ang Coast Guard na kung ano man ang kanilang pinagsasabi rito, nagkakamali po kayo sapagkat wala pa pong West Philippines, wala pa po tayong mapa. Ang West Philippine Sea, nagkakaintindihan po tayo, gusto nating gawin, gusto nating i-drawing, pero pagsikapan po natin kung paano natin talaga i-drawing sa harap ng napakaraming legal impediments na nakaharap sa atin. Yun po yung gusto kong linawin, Mr. President. Ngayon, kaugnay po dun sa pagbobotohan natin ngayon, kagaya po na sinabi ni Senator Cayetano, Mr. President, talagang ako po nagtataka, ikukondem po natin ang public statements ng China na hindi ko po nakikita alin-alin po yung mga public statements para po tayong napunta sa eleksyon, mag-i-elect po tayo, pero wala pong kandidato, paano po tayong boboto? Yun po yung pinaka-problema natin. Yung pong Coast Guard, Mr. President, binasa ko po yung kanilang mga kapangyarihan, yung powers and functions of the Coast Guard. Hindi po nagkakamali, nasa 17 functions and powers. Ni isa doon, wala po akong makita, Mr. President, na pwedeng gawin ng isang spokesperson, nagagawa siya ng ganun, pupunta siya sa isang eskwela, magdi-discuss siya doon at sasabihin niya, bully ang presidente ng China at gagawa siya ng caricature. Wala po sa functions eh. Paano po ngayon natin bibigyan ng encouragement na pagbobotohan natin, ididepensa po natin yung paraan na ganun. Tayo po ay nagkakaisa na kailangan po natin ilaban ng sa atin. Nasabi na po yan kanina ni Senator Alan. Ngunit yung pamamaraan po ang problema eh. Ngayon, gusto kong bumoto sana kung halimbawa Manila ang pinag-uusapan natin. Ngunit kung boboto tayo nang dahil sa pinag-aawayan natin, nagmula po sa isang salita o pamamaraan ng isang spokesman ng Coast Guard at doon nga po ang pinagmulan ng maanghang na salita at ngayon nga po ay nakukompromiso na tayo at pagbobotohan natin, susuportahan natin yung ganung pamamaraan, baka lalo po tayong magkamali eh. Mr. President, tayo pong mga Pilipino, merong kasabihan eh. Kapag binato ka pag pinukol ka ng bato, batuhin mo ng tinapay. Yun po yung kulturang Pilipino, Mr. President. Ngayon po, maski sa Biblia po may sinasabi, kapag yung bulag, inakay niya ay kapwa bulag, wala po silang kapupuntahan, Mr. President. Naghahanap po tayo rito ng clarity. Ano po ang nangyari? Sa paghanap ko ng clarity, sa paghanap ko ng sagot, para suportahan natin ang West Philippine Sea, ang inaani ko pa po ay parang ako po ay maka-China. Hindi po. Hindi po. Sana po ipatawag natin ang NAMRIA. Para sa ganun, itanong natin sa kanya, bakit sinabihan ka na in 2012 sa pamagitan ng Administrative Order Number 29. 14 years ago, sinabihan ka na in consultation with the DFA na i-prepare mo na yung mga mapa. Bakit hanggang ngayon ay wala pa? So imbes na ipatawag po natin ang NAMRIA, ang gagawin po natin ay boboto tayo sa mga public pronouncements ng China para po yatang parang parang may problema doon na Mr. President. Imbes na ipatawag natin yung mga taong dapat gumawa ng mapa sapagkat gusto ko rin pong malaman kung paano nila gagawin ang mapa. Sa akin po kasing palagay, imposible silang makagawa ng mapa dahil nga magbabiolate tayo sa napakarami po na artikulo ng UNCLOS at lalabagin po natin yung arbitral award na ating isang pinagbabasihan. So, Mr. President, magtatapos ako sa isang pananalita na lang, Mr. President. Sa aking palagay po, ang isang pagkakamali ay hindi po may tutuwid ng isang pagkakamali. Hindi po natin magagawa yung gusto nating gawin para kausapin natin ang China sa maliing pamamaraan. At kung pamali po ang paraan, wala po tayong magagawang mabuti, Mr. President. Maraming salamat po.
Majority Leader.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. With that, I move to open the period of amendment on resolution number 256 and recognize the sponsor for his amendments.
Period of amendments open. Senator Pangilinan recognized for the period of amendments.
Move to include as attachments the following statements to the resolution, Mr. President. The following statements, public statements issued by the Chinese embassy officials, as well as the DFA statement, the DND statement, and a number of other statements, Mr. President. We will begin with the statement of the DND. It was report, Mr. President, if I may be allowed, I will just quote a number of, but the actual statement will be attached as a,
Yes,
as annexed.
we do not practice to attach. What we need to do would be this will be a motion subject to style in part
Subject to
part
style.
of the resolution incorporated into the resolution.
Thank you, Mr. President.
All right, go ahead. You may proceed.
Statement of the DND, ASEC Arsenio R. Andolong. Oh, before that, maybe the statement of China, the Chinese embassy. Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson strongly condemns J. Tariela's smears and attacks against Chinese leader. January 19, a spokesperson of the Philippine Coast Guard has maliciously spread disinformation on China and wantonly smeared China's image. China strongly condemns this and has lodged strong protests with the Philippine side. Certain Philippine uniformed service members, driven by personal political motives, have repeatedly made outrageous and absurd statements in a habit of inciting confrontation. Such behavior is despicable. A word of advice to relevant individuals in the Philippines: immediately stop making provocations and stop confusing right and wrong, or they would pay the price for what they did. For the record, Mr. President. We will now place on record the statement of the Coast Guard.
That will be included in a whereas. Whereas
Yes.
the embassy is here quoted blank. Mhm.
Yes.
All right. Proceed.
And then the statement of the DND. And I will just quote it, but I will submit the actual statement, Mr. President. The Department of National Defense and the Armed Forces of the Philippines strongly condemn such an affront to any of its members and reiterates that it shall not be cowed by any official of the PROC, whether in their homeland or as guests here. And we shall continue to speak against their lies and malign actions when such are committed.
Pwedeng another whereas yan.
Yes. The statement mentioned proves the unflinching and twisted attempt by the PROC to spread distorted narratives and to continue with its ineffective and distasteful campaign to bully smaller countries, Mr. President. So Again, another whereas, and we will...
Subject to style, another whereas.
Thank you, Mr.
Proceed.
President. In this case, the statement of the Chinese Embassy in the Philippines to Senator Ontiveros, this is dated 21 January, in response to Senator Ontiveros' statement, binabastos na ng China ang ating karagatan, binabastos pa ang mga opisyal natin. We must not allow the Chinese embassy or any embassy for that matter to disrespect public servants who are simply defending what is rightfully ours. Chinese embassy the following day to Senator Hontiveros, sino ang nambabastos? Mr. J. Tarialla went to a university, attacked and smeared Chinese leader in front of young students, and then publicly posted images. Your logic is simply very ridiculous. You seem to believe that you're free to attack and smear others while denying them, this is referring to Senator Ontiveros, the right to respond or defend their legitimate interests. Let me be clear, we do have that right. We may not be able to stop people like Tariella and you from spreading falsehoods, but as an embassy, we have every legitimate right to defend ourselves, tell the truth, present the basic facts, and ensure the public clearly understands China's position. For the record, Mr. President,
Yes, perhaps we can we can edit that to incorporate the message in another whereas, subject to style.
in another whereas, or perhaps, Mr. President, subject to style, a footnote may likewise be accommodated.
Yes.
Another statement, Mr. President, by the Chinese Embassy, Representative Jokno, your logic is fundamentally erroneous, and so forth and so on. And then on January, Congresswoman, this is also the statement of the Chinese Embassy. Congresswoman De Lima released a statement that branded China's position on the South China Sea as Orwellian doublespeak and falsely accused the Chinese Embassy of spreading lies about China's aggression in the West Philippine Sea and targeting Philippine officials for doing their job in calling out said aggression. Mr. President, again, subject to style, we will include that statement. And then this one, Mr. President, Chinese Embassy, January 20, your accusation, this is referring to Senator Jokno's statement. Your accusation, of Senator Ontiveros, I'm sorry. Your accusation of China gaslighting the Philippines public is baseless. China is simply sharing the facts and telling the truth. Calling this gaslighting is just a distraction. Laying out facts isn't gaslighting. Ignoring inconvenient truths and selling falsehoods. That's common sense, Mr. President. There are a number of other statements, Mr. President. May we have a minute suspension, Mr. President?
Session suspended. Perhaps you can concise the rest.
Yes, Mr. President. This is in response to a statement that this representation made, Mr. President. And the response was, Deputy Spokesperson of the Chinese Embassy Guo Wei, and he quotes in response to what I said publicly, the rather limited scope of your knowledge does not require the attention of the embassy spokesperson. The deputy spokesperson is more than sufficient. With a surprising lack of understanding of international law and even the most basic diplomatic norms and etiquette, the good senator, referring to this representation, pointed fingers at the embassy, Chinese embassy, claiming that you insult us by having an underling lecture us on the matters of foreign relations. Chinese embassy did not insult you. You embarrassed yourself. For the record, Mr. President. Anyway, Mr. President, we will submit this. And one more, Mr. President. This is in response to Senator Erwin Tulfo. Deputy Spokesperson Guo Wei, you have the freedom to attack others. We also have the right to defend ourselves and push back. Freedom of speech, after all, Mr. Senator, if you don't understand diplomacy or the role of foreign embassies, you might want to think twice before commenting. or at the very least, take time to understand what are the public exchanges really, bold letters, about. Otherwise, you risk becoming a source of ridicule, Mr. President. So this is a number of the statements that we have now introduced as amendments subject to style, Mr. President.
All right. Thank you.
There are-
Majority Leader.
Yes, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. President. Yes, Mr. President, with that, close the period of amendments.
Any objection? Hearing none, period of amendments closed.
With that, Mr. President, I move to approve or adopt proposed Senate Resolution number 256. I so move.
Any objection? Hearing none. PS Resolution 256 is hereby adopted.
Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Subject to style.
Subject to style. Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Majority
Thank you very
Leader.
much.
Thank you
Mr.
to our
President.
colleagues.
Thank you. Mr. President, may I ask for minute suspension? Mr. President?
Session suspended.
President, I move that we consider Senate Bill number 155 under Committee Report number 8. I so move, Mr. President.
Senate Bill
Number 155,
155.
yes, sir.
Any objection? Hearing none, consideration of Senate Bill 155 under Committee Report Number 8 is in order.
This is an act simplifying the documentary requirements for accessing government financial assistance and other purposes. May we recognize the sponsor, Mr. President, Senator Erwin Tulfo, and for his proposed amendments, Mr. President.
What is the parliamentary status of the measure, Mr. President?
We are
Mr.
in
Majority Leader?
the period of amendments, Mr. President.
Period of amendments. The Senator Erwin Tulfo is recognized. This is the period of amendments as of January 28, 2026. Clean copy of January 28 for the record.
Mr. President, may I introduce my individual amendments based on the copy of Senate Bill number 155 as of January 28, 2026, wherein the committee amendments had already been incorporated. Here are my individual amendments. On page 1, line 2, on the short title of the bill, delete the phrase simplified government aid access and in lieu thereof, insert the phrase direkta at agad na lingap at interbensyon and the acronym in parenthesis DALI or DALI. I so move, Mr. President.
Any objections? Hearing none, amendments adopted.
Mr. President, on page 2, line 11 to 14, subparagraph 3, delete the phrase referral or endorsement letter issued by the city or municipal social welfare and development office or duly authorized local social worker, or I so move, Mr. President.
You want to delete. Any objection? Hearing none, adopted, deleted.
And on page 2, line 30 to 35, Mr. President, delete the entire provision of Section 5 and in lieu thereof, insert a new provision. Thus, Section 5 shall now read as follows. Section 5, streamline processing. All concerned government agencies shall process requests for assistance within the day, subject to availability of funds, provided that complete documentary requirements are submitted during official working hours. Requests submitted on weekends, holidays, or outside official working hours shall be processed on the following working day. I so move, Mr. President.
Any objection? Hearing none, approved.
On page 3, line 4, Mr. President, delete the phrase also known as the Anti-Red Tape Act. I so move, Mr. President.
Line 4.
Page 3, line 4, Mr. President. The phrase also known as the Anti-Red Tape Act. I so move, Mr. President.
Any objection? Hearing none, adopted.
And on page 3, line 5, after the phrase Republic Act number 11032, insert the punctuation mark, comma, and the phrase otherwise known as the Ease of Doing Business and Efficient Government Service Delivery Act of 2018. I so move, Mr. President.
Any objection? Hearing none, adopted.
And those are my individual amendments, Mr. President.
Majority Leader.
Yeah, I just want to be clarified, Mr. President, if the amendments of Senator Legarda has already been inputted?
Mr. President, no, we haven't. On page 2, line 2,
Okay.
under section 4.
So may they proceed, Mr. President, on the amendments?
Yes, you may proceed. You're still in the period of amendments.
This is the individual amendment of Senator Lauren Legarda to delete the phrase to whom they are not related. the new provision shall read as follows.
What line is that on page 2?
Page 2, line 28, Mr. President, section 4, which delete the phrase "to whom they are not related," and the new provision shall read as follows. In cases where the request of assistance is made through a representative, such representative shall present an authorization letter duly signed by the beneficiary, along with a valid government-issued ID of both the beneficiary and the representative. The authorized representative must be a relative of the beneficiary within the fourth degree of consanguinity or affinity, or a legal guardian, provided that no individual shall act as representative for more than 2 beneficiaries. Mr. President.
Can you please repeat from line 26, because read how it will appear now, because you used provided on line 26, so the next provided should be provided further. But nevertheless, please read how it will come out now from line 26, starting with provided. Provided that no individual shall act as
As
a
a
representative.
representative for more than 2 beneficiaries, Mr. President.
And then,
Period, Mr. President.
period.
Yes, Mr. President.
All right. And then,
That's all, Mr. President.
what you read. And then the next provided, editorial amendment, provided further, subject to style. Any objection? Hearing none, adopted.
That's the amendment of Senator Lauren Legarda, Mr. President.
Any other amendment? Majority Leader?
So far, Mr. President, there's no more amendment.
There's a request, Mr. President, of our Minority Floor Leader to ask some clarificatory questions, Mr. President.
Clarificatory?
Questions.
Clarifying?
There's a request here that if he could still ask some clarificatory questions before we close the measure for second reading, Mr. President.
Yes. Who's asking for it?
The Minority Leader, sir. So, may I ask for a minute suspension, Mr. President?
So therefore, we're going to take it up now, if he's not here.
Yes. Is the office? Yeah, I don't. So, Mr. President, may I ask for a minute suspension while we can ask the office?
Session suspended.
Thank you, Mr. President. I was told by the office of Senator, our distinguished Minority Floor Leader, that they're drafting also certain amendments to the bill. So let's give the office of the Minority Floor Leader, Mr. President, at least a day so we can suspend consideration of the measure for the meantime, Mr. President.
All right. Any objection? Consideration of the measure suspended.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I move to resume consideration on Senate Bill. Oh, before I do that, may I just put on record, I believe Senator Risa Ontiveros also wants to insert to the records her explanation of vote or an explanation of the adoption of the resolution that we passed earlier this afternoon, Mr. President.
Earlier, she would like to manifest or insert into the records?
Insert,
Insert
Senator.
into the records.
Thank you, Mr. President.
So inserted.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator Lacson,
Mr. President, I move that we resume consideration of Senate Bill number 1629 under Committee Report number 23, Mr. President.
Any objection? Hearing na, consideration of Senate Bill 1629.
Mr. President, yes, this is the act amending the, or rather, the act mandating the establishment of multi-faith prayer and quiet rooms. May I recognize the sponsor, Senator Robin Hood Padilla, to propose the amendments, Mr. President.
Second, Majority
May
Leader.
we recognize the distinguished sponsor, Senator Robin Padilla, to propose the amendments, Mr. President.
Senator Rowan Padilla is recognized.
Maraming salamat po, Ginoong Pangulo, at sa atin pong pinunong mayorya. Ang akin pong mga individual amendments para po sa Senate Bill number 1629 o ang Multi-Faith Prayer and Quiet Rooms Act of the Philippines. On Section 1, short title, on page 1, line 2, after the word rooms, insert the acronym in open and close parentheses MFPQR. Then, after the word AC, delete the phrase of the Philippines. The amended section 1 shall now read as follows. Section 1, short title, this act shall be known as the Multi-Faith Prayer and Quiet Room Act. And as omnibus amendment, delete and replace all succeeding acronym MFQR with MFPQR. I so move, Mr. President.
An objection? Hearing na. Yes,
Hello.
Senator Pia Cayetano.
Yes, thank you. No, I have no objection, Mr. President, but I think it is our practice that the title is amended last. So my question is, if you amend the short title, which is Section 1, can you do that ahead? And it's actually, I had the pleasure of discussing it with the two former majority and current majority, so that for proper for our guidance, Mr. President. So can we start with the short title? We can. Okay, so just to clarify, because if the short title is different from the title, then we will ask questions. But because we already know where this is going, then there's no question to ask. Thank you, Mr. President. No objection, just clarifying. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
So, yeah, hearing no objection, the motion is approved. Majority Leader. Yeah.
On,
Sponsor.
on Section 2, Declaration of Policy. On page 1, line 9, after the word government, delete and replace the word workplaces with offices. I so move, Mr. President.
An objection? Hearing none, motion is approved.
On Section 3, definition of terms. On page 2, lines 5 to 9, subsection B shall be relettered as subsection A and shall be amended to read as follows. A. Government offices refer to central and regional offices of the national government, including constitutional bodies, government-owned or controlled corporations, government financial institutions, state universities, and colleges, and offices of local government units, and I so move, Mr. President.
An objection? Hearing none, motion is approved.
Still on the same page 2, lines 1 to 4, subsection A, shall be relettered as subsection B and shall be amended to read as follows. B, multi-faith prayer and quiet room. MFPQR refers to a designated, enclosed, and accessible space intended for quiet prayer, reflection, or meditation by persons of all faiths and beliefs. And I so move, Mr. President.
Any objection? Hearing none, approved.
On the same page 2, lines 10 to 17, amend subsection C to read as follows. C, public-facing establishments refer to government-owned or privately owned facilities that regularly admit the public, such as but not limited to transportation hubs and terminals, airports, seaports, malls, markets, hospitals, and health facilities, educational institutions, courts, museums, parks, sports facilities, convention venues, and buildings providing essential frontline services. High security or restricted areas such as, but not limited to, detention centers and controlled access facilities shall be excluded. I so move, Mr. President.
Any objection?
Mr.
What is the
President.
pleasure of Senator Pia Cayetano?
It's not an objection, but with the consent, Mr. President, of the sponsor, may we would like to propose that instead of the word facilities, which is the word being inserted in this paragraph, it is the word complex. And we explained this during the period of interpellation, and His Honor had said that he is open to all our suggestions, that there are sports facilities that may be just one room. And medyo mahirap naman to establish a prayer room there. But when you refer to a complex, then this already gives you, similar to pag sinabing tindahan, iba yung mall. Eh di dun sa mall, maglalagay ka talaga. Hindi naman pwedeng lagyan ng bawat tindahan. So if His Honor will accept the proposal to change the word facilities to complex, Mr. President.
What does the sponsor say?
Opo, accepted po.
Thank you
Palitan
po.
po natin ito ng sports complex.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, any objection? Hearing none, motion is approved.
On Section 4, establishment of MFPQR, bunga po ng interpelasyon ni Senadora Pia Cayetano noong Lunes, at upang gawing simple ang pagkakasulat ng Section 4, on page 2, lines 18 to 29, reword the entire Section 4 to read as follows. Section 4, establishment of MFPQR. Government offices and public-facing establishments shall, as far as practicable, establish at least one MFPQR or designate an existing area or areas within their premises for this purpose. The concerned government offices and public-facing establishments shall maintain the MFPQR as a religiously neutral space without any furniture, fixture, or symbol representing any specific religion or denomination. Religious items may be brought in for prayer or meditation and shall be cleared from the premises after use.
Period.
Period. Public-facing establishments shall bear the cost in compliance with this act. I so move, Mr. President.
Any objection? Hearing none, motion is approved.
On Section 5, minimum design and facility requirements. Bunga muli ng interpelasyon ni Senadora Pia Cayetano noong Lunes po. Lalo na ang kanyang bilin na huwag itatalaga ang mga smoking rooms bilang prayer and quiet room at para gawing simpleng muli ang Section 5, on page 3, lines 1 to 19, reword the entire Section 5 to read as follows. Section 5, recommended design and facility requirements. D, MFPQR design shall, as far as practicable, take into consideration the following. A minimum floor area commensurate with the expected number of users as determined by the government office or public-facing establishment. B,
Semicolon.
B, adequate ventilation and lighting, colon. C, clean flooring suitable for praying, reflection, or meditation, colon. D, configurable areas with movable partitions for standing, kneeling, or sitting. E, ablution area for cleansing and preparatory practices that is gender sensitive, accessible, and within close proximity to the MFPQR, provided that it is equipped with low faucets, bidet, or foot washing basins. And F, signage using the quiet room symbol. In no case shall the MFPQR be established or designated in smoking areas or comfort rooms. I so move, Mr. President.
Any objection? Hearing none, approved.
Senator
Sorry,
Lauren.
Sorry,
yes,
Mr.
ma'am.
President. I do have an amendment,
Yes,
Mr.
Senator Pia
President,
is
to the
recognized.
amendment. Again, with the conformity of His Honor, it is true that this representation was the one who said that it would be ideal if those who would like to pray do not have to do it in a smoking area. So I'm happy that this has been included. But I take note that the wording here, the last sentence is, in no case shall the MFPQR be established or designated in smoking areas or comfort rooms. Siyempre, ayaw din naman natin na kailangan magdasal sila. Pwede naman magdasal kahit saan. Pero sana naman we can designate nga naman a separate area from the comfort room. I agree with that. I have no problem with that, Mr. President. However, during the period of interpellation, this representation had asked for clarification, as I do not know the Muslim practice, and I'm happy to be corrected, but I understand that ablution area is particular to the Muslim practice. And I asked His Honor, the sponsor, ito bang establishment of this area, because it includes washing facilities, does this have to be separate from the restroom? And His Honor said no. In fact, in practice, talagang basta yung restroom facilities have an area that is convenient to wash their feet, it is absolutely acceptable to be in the restroom. Is that correct? Did I understand that interpellation correctly?
Maraming salamat po sa pag-clarify, Madam Senator. Ang katunayan po niyan, mas nanaisin po namin na wala ito sa comfort room at separated, pero case-to-case basis po, alam naman po natin na hindi po tayo ganun kayaman na bansa at hindi po natin pwedeng pilitin ng kahit na sino na magpagawa po sa amin ng wash area ang sarili. Pwede po ito. Nagiging pwede po na nandoon na rin po sa loob ng CR. Opo.
Okay, kasi yun po ang sinabi nyo ng interpellation na pwede. Kaya yun ho ang nililiwanag ko at I accept His Honor's explanation now na ideally hindi doon pero there really will be times where hindi naman makapag-provide ng separate outside of the comfort room. Therefore, if His Honor is accepting that as a reality, then we would like to amend that last line after the period, after comfort room period, our proposal is to insert a colon and then followed by provided that the ablution area may be located in comfort rooms adjacent to or in close proximity with the MFPQR. We submit, Mr. President.
What does the sponsor say?
Napakaganda po. I accept po.
Thank you po. Thank you.
Maraming salamat po.
So after the word rooms, Sir Pia, nabanggit na raw sa letter E. Yung
Sa E?
ablution area for cleansing and preparatory practices, that is gender.
So, and within close.
Okay na rin yun.
Okay,
And within
but
close
yes, no, I
proximity
see
to
it.
the
I see
MF.
it.
Yeah.
The concern here is to amend the last sentence which says, in no case shall the MFPQR be established or designated in smoking areas or comfort room.
Ablution area.
Baka mas okay, I think for style, it might be better to delete what is in the earlier in section E and then put that clause below.
Okay.
So, subject to style, Mr. President,
Yes.
same impact, Mr. President.
What does the sponsor say?
Opo, accepted po.
Subject to style.
Thank
Opo.
you.
Yeah. Any objection? Hearing none, approved. Please continue.
Meron po tayong amendment galing po kay Senator Lauren Legarda on incentive-based integration in the seal
Where's that? What page?
on incentive-based integration in the seal of good local governance,
Saan yun?
SGLG. Bunga po ito ng kanyang isang bagong section po ito. Bagong section po upang umayon ang ating panukala
Inserted before
sa
section six.
incentive-based
Okay.
na balangkas ng seal of good local governance kung saan ang pagtatatag ng MFPQR ay hindi sa pilitan, kundi gumagalang sa autonomiya ng mga lokal na pamahalaan at kinikilala ang voluntaryong mga hakbang tungo sa inclusivity. On page 3, line 20, a new section 6
Section 3.
on incentive-based integration of establishment of multi-faith prayer and quiet rooms, MFPQR, in the seal of good local governance shall be added. The proposed provision will read as follows. Section 6. Incentive-based integration in the seal of good local governance, the Department of the Interior and Local Government, DILG, shall integrate the voluntary establishment and maintenance of a MFPQR by local government units, LGUs, as a non-obligatory criteria, indicator, under the seal of good local governance, SGLG, or its successor assessment framework. Compliance with this indicator shall not be mandatory, and non-compliance shall neither disqualify nor demerit an LGU from obtaining or retaining the seal. However, LGUs that voluntarily establish and maintain MFPQRs in accordance with this Act and its implementing rules and regulations shall be awarded additional incentive points, merits, or other equivalent recognitions or scoring credits as may be determined by the DILG in the design and implementation of the SGLG or its successor assessment framework. D. DILG shall promulgate the necessary guidelines to operationalize this incentive-based indicator, including criteria for assessment, documentation requirements, point allocation, and verification mechanisms, ensuring that implementation remains voluntary, non-discriminatory, and consistent with the principles of local autonomy and inclusivity. The succeeding sections shall be renumbered accordingly. I so move, Mr. President.
An objection? Hearing none, approved.
Senator Lauren Legarda amendment on Local Government Support Fund. Muli po, bunga po ito ng mungkahi ni Senadora Lauren Legarda. Isang bagong seksyon po uli upang isama sa MFPQR sa listahan ng mga kwalipikadong proyekto sa ilalim ng Local Government Support Fund upang ang mga lokal na pamahalaan ay mabigyan ng malinaw na batayan sa pagpopondo sakaling piliin nilang magtatag ng mga pasilidad na ito nang hindi lumikha ng anumang obligasyon na gawin ito. Ang pagsasailalim din nito sa mga alituntunin ng DBM ay nagpapanatili ng wastong fiscal oversight at tinitiyak ang pagsunod sa mga budgeting at fund utilization standards. On page 4, line 1, a new section 7 on Local Government Support Fund, LGSF, shall be added. The proposed provision will read as follows. Section 7, Local Government Support Fund eligibility. The Department of Budget and Management, DBM, shall include the establishment, construction, retrofitting, or improvement of MFPQRs in the menu of eligible projects that may be financed under the Local Government Support Fund, LGSF, subject to the rules, guidelines, and policies issued by the DBM on budgeting, programming, prioritization, and fund utilization. The subsequent sections shall be adjusted and renumbered accordingly. I so move, Mr. President.
An objection? Hearing none, approved.
Wala akong tubig. Ang haba. On Section 6, voluntary compliance, bunga muli po ng interpelasyon ni Senadora Pia Cayetano at upang maging mas alinsunod sa diwa ng panukala na pagiging bukas sa anumang relihiyon at hindi magkaroon ng anumang bahid ng pagkiling sa isang relihiyon, ilang mga amyenda po sa Section 6. On page 3, line 21, after the acronym MFPQRs, delete and replace the word compliant with the phrase in accordance. On the same page 3, line 22, after the word act, delete the phrase and its implementing rules and regulations. Then, on the
Excuse me,
same line...
Senator Padilla,
Opo.
isa-isahin mo lang.
Apo. Sorry po.
Walang lamsam.
Apo. I so move, Mr. President.
In objection, hearing none, approved.
On the same page 3, line 22, after the word act, delete the phrase and its implementing rules and regulations. Then, on the same line 22, replace the word Muslim with multi-faith. I so move, Mr. President.
In objection, hearing none, approved.
On the same page 3, line 24, after the word by, delete the phrase pertinent and. I so move, Mr. President.
In objection, hearing none, approved.
On the same page 3, line 26, after the word in, delete and replace the acronym DOT with the phrase the Department of Tourism. I so move, Mr. President.
In objection, hearing none, approved.
Mula naman po kay Senator Loren Legarda, on the same page 3, line 27, add a new paragraph. B. The proposed paragraph B will read as follows. B. The Department of Trade and Industry, DTI, in coordination with the Department of the Interior and Local Government, DILG, shall establish a voluntary recognition program to encourage the establishment and maintenance of MFPQRs in private public-facing establishments. The program shall provide for the development of standards and criteria for recognition, periodic assessment, and the conduct of an annual or periodic certification process pursuant to which compliant establishments may be granted commendations, seals, or other forms of public recognition for promoting inclusivity and accessibility. The specific criteria, procedures, standards, and modalities for participation, assessment, and recognition under this section shall be provided in the implementing rules and regulations of this Act. I so move, Mr. President.
In objection, hearing none, approved.
On the same page 3, line 27, the lettered subsection B, after the word assistance, delete the praise or recognition awards and insert the praise from relevant government agencies. I so move, Mr. President.
In objection, hearing none, approved.
Okay na, sir? Ano tayo? On the renumbered Section 7, appropriations. On page 4, lines 1 to 6, reward the entire renumbered Section 7 to read as follows. Section 7, appropriations. The amount needed for the initial implementation of this act shall be charged against the current year's appropriations and the corporate operating budget, COB, of the government agencies concerned. Thereafter, such sums as may be necessary for its continued implementation shall be included in the General Appropriations Act or the COB as the case may be. I so move, Mr. President.
An objection? Hearing none, approved.
On the renumbered Section 8, implementing rules and regulations. 10. On page 4, line 7, after the word commission and a comma, insert the phrase and the Department of Trade and Industry, and a comma. Then on line 8, before the second word department, insert the word D. Then on line 9, before the word interior, insert the word D and capitalize the letters N and C on the words national and commission. I so move, Mr. President.
An objection? Hearing none, approved.
On the renumbered Section 9, separability clause. On page 4, lines 12 to 14, reword the entire Section 9 to read as follows. Section 9, separability clause. In any provision of this act is declared unconstitutional, the remainder hereof not otherwise affected shall remain in full force and effect. I so move, Mr. President.
An objection? Hearing none, approved.
On the renumbered Section 10, repealing clause, on page 4, lines 15 to 18, reword the entire Section 10 to read as follows. Section 10, repealing clause. All other laws, presidential decrees, executive orders, letters of instruction, proclamations, administrative orders, rules or regulations that are inconsistent with this act are hereby repealed, amended, or modified accordingly. I so move, Mr. President.
An objection? Hearing none, approved.
On the renumbered Section 11, effectivity clause, on page 4, line 19, after the word days, delete and replace the word after with the word following. Then on line 20, the words official gazette should be italicized. I so move, Mr. President.
An objection? Hearing none, approved.
On the long title, bilang huling amyenda, bunga ng suhestyon ng ating Ginoong Pangulo, Senate President Vicente Soto III, amend the long title to read as follows. An act providing for multi-faith prayer and quiet rooms in public offices and public-facing establishments. I so move, Mr. President.
An objection? Hearing none, approved.
Ginoong Pangulo, ako po ay buong pusong nagpapasalamat kay Senator Mark Villar Senator Raffy Tulfo, Senator Erwin Tulfo, Senadora Pia Cayetano, Senador Joel Villanueva, Senadora Lauren Ligarda, sa atin pong pinunong mayorya, Ginoong Samurai Mig Zubiri, at siyempre po sa inyo pong lingkod, sa aming pong Senator Pro Tempore, Senator Panfilo Lacson, sa inyo pong lahat, kay Senator, sa ating pong Ginoong Pangulo, na nagsulong din po nito, Senator Vicente Soto III, sa atin pong Secretariat staff, sa kanilang tulong upang ayusin po ang ating panukala. Maraming salamat po sa inyo. Wala na po akong susunod na amyenda. Mabuhay po.
Thank you. Majority Leader.
Maraming salamat sa ating sponsor and author of the measure. With that, Mr. President, I move to close the period of amendments.
Any objection? Hearing none, period of amendment is hereby is closed.
Mr. President, I move that we approve on second reading Senate Bill number 1621 under Committee Report number 23. I so move, Mr. President.
Any objection? Hearing none, motion is approved.
I move to suspend consideration of the measure.
An objection? Hearing none, consideration of the measure is suspended.
Congrats, Robin. Congrats. Thank you very much, Mr. President. Mr. President, I move that we resume consideration of Senate Bill number 1624 under Committee Report number 22.
16, ano yun? 1624? Ano page? An objection. Consideration of Senate Bill 1624
This is the bill on the Congressional
under
Commission on
Committee Report
Agriculture.
number 22.
Yes, Mr. President. Mr. President, I move that we recognize, we are in the period of amendment. May we recognize the sponsor, Senator Francis Kiko Pangilinan, if there are any amendments proposed by the gentleman.
Yeah. An objection. Hearing none, Senator Francis Pangilinan is recognized.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. After conferring with our staff as well as the loan reservation, the minority leader, we have been informed by his staff, Attorney Devana, that he is no longer going to raise clarificatory questions during the period of amendments, and therefore we can now close the period of amendments. And no amendments, Mr. President.
There being no amendments, Mr. President, move to close the period of amendments.
An objection. Motion is approved.
Mr. President, I move that we approve on second reading Senate Bill number 1624 under Committee Report number 22. I so move.
Any objection? Hearing none, motion is approved.
Thank you, Mr. President. Congratulations are in order to both Senator Pangilinan and Senator Padilla for their bills today.
Thank you, Majority
Thank
Leader, Senate President.
May I ask for a minute suspension, Mr. President.
Session is suspended.
Mr. President, I move to suspend consideration of Senate Bill number 1624 under Committee Report number 22. So moved.
An objection? Hearing none, motion is approved.
Thank you, Mr. President. With that, I move that we adjourn session until, oh, sorry. Anong bill? Okay, Mr. President. I move that we suspend the adjournment for a few more minutes since the good sponsor has been waiting patiently for his sponsorship. Mr. President, I move to, may we ask for additional, I move for the additional reference of business, Mr. President. Does it need an additional reference? No need. Okay, Mr. President. With that, I move to transfer from the calendar of ordinary business, Mr. President, Senate Bill number 1743 under Committee Report number 25. I so move, Mr. President.
Any objection? Hearing none, approved.
You may ask the Secretary to read the title of the measure, Mr. President.
Secretary is hereby directed to read the title of the measure.
An act amending Republic Act number 10699 or National Athletes and Coaches Benefits and Incentives Act by Senator Go.
Senator Christopher Bongo is recognized to sponsor the measure.
Mr. President and esteemed colleagues, as chairperson of the Committee on Sports, I rise to sponsor Senate Bill number 1743 under Committee Report number 25, amending Republic Act number 10699, otherwise known as the National Athletes and Coaches Benefits Incentives Act. Mr. President, Republic Act number 10699 was enacted to expand the coverage of incentives granted to national athletes and coaches. This is to recognize their contribution in Philippine sports and for bringing pride and honor to the country. The law, however, seemingly provided disproportionate incentives for those competing in para-sport competitions compared to other international competitions. This proposed measure aims to provide our athletes with disability to be recognized on equal footing as other national athletes by ensuring that they receive fair and just incentives for their achievements. This amendment will further promote inclusivity and equality in the Philippine sports sector. Mr. President, ang atin pong mga para-athletes ay katulad din po ng ating mga normal na atleta. Sila po'y nag-aalay ng pagod at hirap sa mga training para lang mabigyan ng dangal at honor ang ating bansa sa mga kompetisyon na lalahukan nila. Hindi dahil mayroong kakulangan sa kanila, ibig sabihin na dapat kalahati na lang din po ang kanilang matatanggap kung ikukumpara po sa ating mga ordinaryong atleta. Di naman nila kasalanan na may kapansanan po ang iilan sa kanila nung pinanganak po sila. Pinaghirapan din po nila ang ginto, pinaghirapan din po nila ang medalya, pinaghirapan din po nila ang bawat laban, pinagpawisan din po nila ito. Pareho naman po ang ginto, silver, and bronze na napanalunan nila. Karangalan po yun para sa ating bayan, kaya nararapat lang po na ma-increase ang kanilang incentives na matatanggap mula sa gobyerno. Ano ba naman po ito kumpara sa kanilang hirap at karangalan na dala-dala para sa ating bayan? Huwag po natin silang ituring na parang iba. We would like also to take this opportunity to extend our sincere condolences to the family and friends of Master Sander Severino who passed away last Saturday. Si Sander po ay isang magiting na manlalaro ng chess who won 5 gold medals in the recent ASEAN Para Games. We honor his contribution to Philippine sports. Kaya, Mr. President, bigyan natin sila ng tamang pagpapahalaga na nararapat sa kanilang mga talento at tagumpay. Ito po'y para rin magsilbing kanilang inspirasyon at motivation na magpatuloy sa kanilang pagbibigay karangalan sa bansa. In the recently concluded ASEAN Para Games, nandito po sila last week, no, binigyan natin ng parangal. Team Philippines garnered 45 gold medals, 37 silver medals, and 52 bronze medals, finishing 4th overall. It is our best ranking ever in this multi-sporting event. The provision of incentives will also inspire future generations to embrace para sports and pursue their athletic dreams. Ayan po, nasa litrato na pumunta po sila rito sa atin sa Senado. Encouraging young individuals with disabilities to participate in sports, fostering a culture of inclusivity and empowerment. This will ultimately lead to a more diverse and enriched sports community that celebrates the achievements of all athletes, regardless of their abilities. The funding requirement for the increase in incentives for para-athletes is covered by the National Sports Development Fund, NSDF, of the Philippine Sports Commission. At timing na rin po ito dahil just recently with the finality na po mula sa Supreme Court, affirmed its decision directing the Philippine Amusement and Gaming Corporation and the PCSO to remit a portion of their income for the funding of PSC. As such, the funding of this for this measure will be adequately and sustainably covered by the NSDF. Dati kasi portion lang po ang nire-remit ng PAGCOR and PCSO sa PSC. Ngayon po, with finality, ibibigay na nila yung buo na naayon po sa batas. So, sana po mapagbigyan na rin po itong batas na ito na pantay po ang matatanggap ng mga para-athletes. Kasama na rin po, sabay na sila, pantay-pantay with the regular or elite athletes. And for all our national athletes, we have included an amendment to provide tax exemption on incentives, bonuses, and rewards granted to national athletes who win in international sports competitions, as well as to their coaches, whether these come from public or private entities or from private individuals. Sa ngayon po, taxable po ang mga incentives at donasyon na nagmumula sa private sector, kaya nababawasan ang tunay na benepisyo na natatanggap ng ating mga atleta. Mr. President, it is incumbent upon the government to show our gratitude by providing our national athletes the recognition they truly deserve. Hindi naman po mababayaran o kayang bayaran ng kahit anuman ang dangal, karangalan at honor na naibibigay ng ating mga Filipino athletes. This bill is just a way to pay it forward and give it back to our Filipino athletes. Yung karangalang dala-dala nila tuwing nananalo po ay nagse-celebrate po ang buong bayan. Pero napakaliit na halaga lamang po ito na pwede po nating ibigay po sa kanila. Isa po sa mga nagpapakita ng isa po ito sa pagpapakita ng pasasalamat ng gobyerno at ng buong bansa sa ating mga minamahal na atleta. We thank our colleagues who have also authored this measure. Senator Pia Cayetano, Senator Jingo Estrada, Senator Raffy Tulfo. I also understand that Senator Joel Villanueva, Senator Kiko Pangilinan, and Senator Camille Villar also signified their intention to co-author this bill. We hope all of our colleagues could lend their support for the approval of this measure. Thank you po, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator Bongo. Senator Lauren Legarda is recognized.
Salamat po, Senator Lauren.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just wanted to associate myself with a good sponsor, and I actually have a speech. Let it just be inserted in the record. So that's a co-sponsorship speech, but with his permission, may I also request to be co-author of the measure. Thank you.
Salamat, Senator Lauren.
So inserted into the records.
Mr. President,
Also, Senator Robin Padilla.
Salamat rin po, Senator Robin.
Yeah, Senator Robin Padilla is recognized.
Maraming salamat po, Ginoong Pangulo. Nais ko pong maging kabahagi ng panukala na ito at ito po kasi ay gusto ko pong malaman ng lahat. Noong ako po ay noong 2006-2007, ako po ay masugid na sumuporta po sa pagyabong ng Muay Thai sa Pilipinas. At ako po ay kasama sa ginawang mga training ng ating mga mandirigma na lumaban po sa iba't ibang bansa. Kasama po dyan ang Philippine Olympic Committee. Katunayan po, totoo po yun. Ako po'y napasama dyan. Hindi ako dahil sa magaling ako o mas magaling ako sa kanila. Hindi po, napasama po ako dahil sa financial support sa kanila. Ako po ang nagbibigay ng pamasahe dyan, papunta sa abroad. Nagbibigay na pang hotel, kapag ka nanalo, binibigyan mo ng premyo dahil kulang na kulang po talaga ang suporta sa ating mga atleta. Kaya ako po ay sumusuporta sapagkat ito po ay napakahalaga. Maging ito man po ay para sa mga Olympian man o para sa Paralympian man, ito po ay makatarungan na ibibigay sa kanila. Mahalaga po rin ang probisyon na tax exemption at tax deduction sapagkat ang mga insentibo at donasyon para sa ating mga atleta at coach ay hindi po negosyo, kundi pasasalamat ng bayan at dapat hikayatin, hindi parusahan ng buwis. Ginoong Tagapangulo, ang lakas ng bansa ay nasusukat sa kung papaano nito inaalagaan ang mga handang lumaban para sa watawat. Ang batas na ito ay tungkol sa dangal, pagkakapantay-pantay at paninindigang walang atletang Pilipino ang maiiwan. Ako po ay buong pusong sumasaludo sa inyo, Senator Bongo, at sa lahat po ng senador na nagsusulong nito. Maraming salamat po, Ginoong Pangulo.
Senator Robin Padilla.
Salamat, Senator Robin, sa suporta mo sa Senate Bill 1743 at sa mga kasamahan natin dito. And of course, sana suportahan rin po ito ng Presidente ng ARNIS.
Mr. President,
Majority Leader.
I move to recognize Senator Pia Cayetano to deliver her co-sponsorship speech.
Senator Pia Cayetano is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, this will be brief. I rise to co-sponsor Senate Bill number 1743 under Committee Report number 25, amending Republic Act number 10699 or the National Athletes and Coaches Benefit and Incentives Act. The bill of this representation, Senate Bill number 27, was taken into consideration under this measure. Mr. President, as an author of the original law, RA number 10699, National Athletes and Coaches Benefit and Incentive Act, I had the privilege of working alongside our Senate President, Tito Soto, and our former colleague, now Secretary Sani Angara. Together, we built a foundation that finally gives our athletes the recognition that they deserve. Mr. President, I'd just like to emphasize that under the bill that we have filed, which now forms part of this measure, Mr. President, our objective here is to recognize the support given by the private sector and all the awards that are received by our national athletes. Currently, they are charged 6%, Mr. President, and it is our humble view that these awards that they get, we would be able to remove these we would be able to give them the full benefit of these rewards, Mr. President, because not only is this hard work, not only is this a product of their hard work and sacrifice, but really, Mr. President, they have brought so much pride to our country, and for the many years that it is required of them to train, to get to the level that they would even obtain an award, the least we can do, Mr. President, is show them our gratitude and consider the passing of this measure, Mr. President, by removing the 6% donors tax. So we will be supporting this measure full force, and we hope that our colleagues would also be supporting this. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator Cayetano. Majority Leader.
Mr. President, the following would also like to insert for the record their co-sponsorship speeches of Senate Bill 1743. Senators Mark Villar, Joel Villanueva, and Jingoy Estrada. Mr.
Kindly
President.
include the presiding officer. Thank you.
Mr. President?
Kindly include the presiding officer.
And the presiding officer, Senate President Pro Tempore Ping Lacson, Mr. President.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. President. And to allow our colleagues to further study this measure, I move, Mr. President, to suspend consideration of Senate Bill 1743.
An objection. Consideration of Senate Bill 1743 under Committee Report number 25 is hereby suspended.
Mr. President, Senator Lauren Legarda would like to insert for the record her manifestation on Senate Resolution 256.
An objection. Hearing none. Approved.
Mr. President, I move to adjourn the session until 3 o'clock in the afternoon of Tuesday, February 10, 2026.
Is there any objection? There being none, the session is adjourned until 3 o'clock in the afternoon of Tuesday, February 10, 2026.